Arsenal, we've had conflicting information this week. First up, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang initially believed that they had an agreement with Gabon and the club to send the player back early after he missed the qualifying game against Egypt. Mikel Arteta has come out and he said that wasn't the case, and Aubameyang had picked up a knock during that win over Libya in a game which he scored. He has been pictured at London Connolly on the training pitches, but Mikel Arteta was non-committal on his availability, with a decision being made on Friday. That's also the same with Thomas Partey. Now, he didn't join up with the national team after pulling out of the squad ahead of game week 11 due to a tight groin. Now, he has been working individually, and up until this point, Friday morning, when Mikel Arteta spoke, he said Thomas Partey hadn't done enough to prove himself to be included in that starting 11. So that's one to watch. It really will depend on how he trains on Friday. Long-term absentees, Granit Xhaka, he's targeted to return in January. There's also a significant injury for Kolasinac during the break. I think that's left ankle ligament problem. We don't know the full extent yet, but like I say, we might be surprised if he plays again this year. Aston Villa, Steven Gerrard, unveiled as a new boss, held his first press conference on Thursday. There was very little talk about team news, so we're having to read between the lines here. Danny Ings been missing for a couple of games due to COVID. He should be in and around the squad. However, serious question marks and doubts over Douglas Luiz and a hamstring problem. Ezri Konsa returns after serving a one-match ban. There are also question marks with regards to Marvelous Nkamba. Now, he was forced off from Zimbabwe. He missed that qualifying game against Ethiopia. It's muscle-related, possibly thigh or maybe a groin issue. Bertrand Traore and Trezeguet, again, their long-term absences. We don't expect them to be in and around the squad. There's also talk that Morgan Sanson is ruled out, but nothing official. Thomas Frank from Brentford, the boys, the Bees, coming up to St James's Park to face my boys. Jon Wissa, ankle problem, initially thought to be 2 to 3 weeks. That timeline has been extended, but Thomas Frank said that he should be very, very close to a squad. And again, a decision would be made on Friday. In defence, the Bees lost Christoph Ayer to what looks to be quite a serious hamstring problem. We'll know by the end of this month how long that exactly will keep him out. But his replacement, Matthias Jorgensen, or Zanka, he was forced off in game week 11 with his own muscle problem. Now, it's a 50-50 call on whether he'll make the squad. Matthias Jensen, COVID with Denmark, he has returned to the training pitches, so he could be involved. Also with Shandon Baptiste, he's missed around 7 weeks after dislocating his shoulder, so he should be there, included in the matchday squad. However, very unlikely to start, given his lack of game time over the last maybe 12 months. I think it is David Raya, of course, long-term absentee, PCL injury. So Fernandes will continue in goal. For Brighton, long-term absentees, Stephen Alzate and Danny Welbeck. But good news on the injury front with some of those short-term casualties. We've seen Dan Burn back with the squad in training, and also Aaron Conley has recovered from a heel issue. Enoch Mwepu, who picked up an injury against Newcastle, has been ruled out. It's a muscular problem, relates to the adductor, the groin, and also the hamstring. Graham Potter is fairly confident that he can return against Leeds. I think it is in game week 12, so that's a short-term problem. For Sean Dyche, Aaron Lennon back after illness. Dale Stevens, he's been playing for the under-23s over the international break, but following ankle surgery, he needs to build up a little bit of fitness, so he won't be included in the squad. There are also question marks over Ashley Barnes, who has a little bit of a niggle, but he hasn't been getting a lot of game time recently. Big news from Chelsea and Stamford Bridge is Romelu Lukaku has been ruled out of the game. This is a prime example of why a return to train is not necessarily a return to play. And also those stills that we've seen posted on the Chelsea website, try to give us, don't tell us a lot of information. Lukaku was training individually, straight line running. He needs to step that up. He needs to add some dynamic twists and turns and put some strain through that ankle to make sure that he can cope with the demands before being risked in football. Now, it is hoped that he could be involved with the squad from Sunday. And if he is, then maybe he could return in the Champions League midweek, but those discussions won't take place until Monday night. Timo Werner rejoined the squad on Thursday. I expect him to make the match day squad, but I wouldn't put him in the starting 11. I think Kai Havertz keeps that place. Marcus Alonso, fine. Mason Mount, absolutely fine. Kovacic, he's ruled out. He's going to be a little bit longer. Also, maybe a slight doubt over Thiago Silva. Didn't play for Brazil last time out, but Thomas Tuchel talked about the time differences and also the travel maybe impacting on him. And it's a big week for Chelsea with some big games, so he may just be held back. He does have other options in there. Crystal Palace and Patrick Vieira, great news. Eberechi Eze, he's going to be back in the first team squad following a couple of appearances for the development side. However, Vieira does urge caution. He needs time to get his, to reach pre-injury levels. And that's going to take a little bit of time. So don't expect too much. I think a place on the bench, build his fitness, integrate with the first team squad, and that's great news for him. The rumours with regards to James McCarthy, they've proved to be true. That's a hamstring problem that's going to keep him out for a few weeks, but Will Hughes comes back into contention following a back problem, and Joachim Andersen has also trained despite his withdrawal from the Denmark squad over the international break. Nathan Ferguson training with the first team, and he's going to look to step up his engagement over the next few weeks. At Everton, now I suspect there must have been a setback for Yerry Mina. He was pictured on the training pitches around about 7 to 10 days ago, was initially described as a minor hamstring problem. But when pressed today, Rafa Benitez said that he wasn't available and he won't be included. Indeed, none of those players who are currently sidelined will be involved. Abdul Doucouré is probably going to be around maybe 1, possibly 2 weeks max. Dominic Calvert-Lewin slightly longer. That could be 3 to 4 weeks, maybe in and around a month. No Andre Gomez. Of course, Mason Holgate begins a 3-match ban. And no mention of Tom Davies. We have seen pictures on social media with his right knee in a protective brace, and so some suggesting that there's ligament damage with several weeks expected on the sidelines. But again, there's been nothing official from the club. For Leeds and Marcelo Bielsa, we have Jamie Shackleton and Junior Firpo. They're both towards the end of their recovery. However, Bielsa said that both players need to build up fitness and that sharpness before being included with the first team. The under-23s did play on Friday afternoon. Neither of those players were involved, so that's probably a good indication that, the first team game this weekend will come a little bit too soon. With regards to Luke Ayling and Patrick Bamford, Bielsa said, if I'm going to give you a brief response to things, it's because I really don't know what's going on and I don't want to give any kind of misleading information and get caught out further down the line. So it doesn't look as if those players are due to return anytime soon. However, what he did say was both players would return before Robin Koch. Now, that Robin Koch timeline was in and around mid to late December. So if nothing's changed on that front, we could maybe expect those two players back within the next maybe 2 to 3 weeks, fingers crossed. For Leicester, Wesley Fofana making great progress. Initially thought February, outside chance of January. There's even maybe some suggestion that he could return around about Christmas, but given the severity of the injury, he won't be rushed back unnecessarily. Bad news with regards to Yuri Tielemans. His initial timeline was 2 to 3 weeks, but now we're looking at December. Now, Brendan Rodgers, again, was very non-committal. All he said was, we expect him back before Christmas. Mid-December would be realistic. Mark Albrighton returns to the squad. No mention of Ryan Bertrand. I think he picked up a knee injury in the Europa League last time out, so we assume he's fine. James Justin, back on the training pitches and working really well. But Brendan Rodgers said that he has a plan in place to build his fitness with the under-23s before being thrown back in at the first team. Now, Liverpool, we could have our own show on Liverpool at the moment. Bit of a crisis going on there. Jurgen Klopp talked about how he hated the international break and it hasn't done him any favours whatsoever. So we start with Roberto Firmino. Nothing official, but again, we're looking at 4 to 6 weeks, which is probably in and around mid-December. Joe Gomez, cough, hasn't recovered as hoped. We're probably around a few weeks for him, so maybe early December. James Milner, Naby Keita, too soon for this weekend, but they maybe back with the squad on the training pitches for Monday, and that sort of gives them an outside chance of featuring in the Champions League. However, if they do miss that, then we're looking at probably game week 13 for being in and around the squad. Sadio Mane, fine, heavy bruising to the rib. Yeah, it's pain management, but he will certainly be involved. He has been training. Jordan Henderson, a ductor issue forced that he picked up playing for England. Gareth Southgate said it was a minor problem. Up until Friday's press conference, Jurgen Klopp said he hadn't been training with the team, but he was due to, and hopefully would come through that session. That still raises an alarm bell for me, and I think he needs to go on the side of caution with that one. And Jordan Henderson may be in and around the squad, but maybe not a start. The same could be said also of Andy Robertson. He picked up a hamstring issue. Fortunately, it wasn't a strain. It was more fatigue related. Jurgen Klopp said Dom's a little bit of cramp just due to the intensity of his recent games for Scotland. Now, for me, Simcast will start. I just don't see there any need to risk Robertson unnecessarily. And we could also see Thiago Alcantara come into that midfield, maybe alongside Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Fabinho, because he's been back with the squad for a couple of weeks now. Curtis Jones, eye problem. We had seen him training in the gym. That sort of gave us hope that he was going to come back, but that's not the case. Physically, he's fine, but the eye hasn't recovered. It's the actual cornea. It's not the socket. So we're just waiting to get the all clear from doctors. That could be a number of weeks. And of course, we know that Harvey Elliot is long term. Manchester City, the big news coming from City this weekend, Kevin De Bruyne's tested positive for COVID, so he will have to self-isolate for at least 10 days before he can come back into the squad. There are also question marks with regards to Phil Foden, who picked up a knock during that win over San Marino. He has a better chance than Jack Grealish. He was also released from that England squad, but that was after the first game against Albania. He's practically been ruled out, so we're not expecting him to be involved. On a more positive note, Ferran Torres isn't far away from returning to the training pitches individually first, and that may give him a chance to return slightly ahead of schedule in December. Initial timeline was early January. Ollie at Manchester United, fighting for his life, needs this game, cannot afford any slip-ups against Watford. What we do know, Paul Pogba, injured while training for France. He's going to be out for a significant period. That's a thigh quadriceps strain. We also know that Raphael Varane is going to spend some time out on the sidelines. But with regards to those other players, Luke Shaw, he's completed his concussion protocol. He should be there or thereabouts. And also Scott McTominay, he revealed earlier in the week he feels fine following a throat infection. Edison Cavani, he's been managing a tendon issue. We don't know if that's the Achilles or the knee. So there's, we're not very specific, but that's been managed since the beginning of the season. And it looks as if this weekend will certainly come too soon for him. At Newcastle, practically a clean bill of health for Eddie Howe's first game in charge. Ryan Fraser didn't join up with the Scottish national team, but he has trained with the group, so he's fine. Miguel Almiron, he's returning late from his involvement with Paraguay, and he will be with the group for the first time on Friday. That's probably suggests that he, at best he'll be on the bench. Paul Dummett is the only player not training with the group. Also good news for Dean Smith with regards to injuries at Norwich. We only have one confirmed absentee, and that is Christoph Zimmerman, who recently underwent ankle surgery. Everybody else, Todd Cantwell, Ozan Kabak, Grant Hanley, Billy Gilmore, all past fit and available. Sam Byron will play for the under-23s as he builds up fitness after more than, 19, 20 months on the sidelines with a hamstring problem. Southampton, Ralph Hasenhüttl, again, fairly a clean bill of health. Jack Stevens is the only confirmed absentee. He's got a knee problem. So that means Nathan Redmond, COVID, James Ward-Prowse, illness, and also Tino Livramento, all past fit. Of course, Livramento pulled out of the under-21 squad. We'll also include Armando Broja in this update, although he hadn't suffered a setback, contrary to reports that the Albanian FA had released saying that he was injured, that it was not injury related. So he's absolutely fine. And he has been training as normal. For Tottenham, Oliver Skipp, he picked up his 5th caution of the campaign last time out. Now, that creates a little bit of a problem for Antonio Conte, particularly if Pierre-Emile Højbjerg cannot recover from the injury suffered on that red card challenge by Mason Holgate. Now, he did say that he was hopeful that he could train on Friday, which would put him in contention. And if that's the case, we're looking at who can potentially partner him. Now, the obvious people would be Harry Winks or Tanguy Ndombele. Conte talked up Dembele's issues with regards to his fitness and how he needs to work a little bit harder. He talked about his talent, but he also talked about how he needs to become a team player. So again, that may be some kind of indication that it's Harry Winks that would get the nod. Giovanni Lo Celso will face a late fitness test. Ryan Sessegnon has been on the training pitches along with Brian Gill, but neither of those players are possibly would be involved. Christian Romero picked up a hamstring injury playing for Argentina, and we're waiting to discover the extent of that. We should know more in around about 7 to 10 days when he's sent for a scan. So in terms of that centre-back spot, it could be somebody like Davinson Sanchez that comes in to replace him. At Watford, we know we've already lost Kuka to a 1-match ban after picking up 2 yellow cards against Arsenal. So that creates a spot in midfield with Peter Atubo currently sidelined. It was opened up for Ozan Tufan, but he picked up a knock playing for Turkey. So there are a couple of question marks with regards to who will start in Claudio Ranieri's midfield, Tom Cleverley potentially being one of those. At centre-back, Francisco Serralta, he suffered another hamstring problem while with Chile. Of course, he picked up a problem last time he was with the national team. That was with the left hamstring. This is with the right. It doesn't look to be severe. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he could be back within 7 to 10 days. Elsewhere, West Ham, David Moyes confirms that Angelo Ogbonna will have surgery on that left knee. It's an ACL rupture. He had a specialist appointment over the international break, and it's obviously confirmed that worst case scenario. Now we're looking at in and around 9 months for return to play. Average days is 270 to 280, so his season is almost over. Declan Rice and Pablo Fornals, they've been past fit after after illness and injury respectively. There were also question marks with regards to Thomas Souček. He was benched for the Czech Republic last time out and didn't play any minute. Now that prompted rumours that he may have picked up a knock, but David Moyes said of all of those players that have come back, there are no sort of major issues or concerns to worry about. For Wolves, Bruno Lage, Fernando Marcal has been past fit. He's recovered from a calf problem, but Bruno Lage said that Ait Nouri will continue on the left-hand side of midfield. He trusts him, he likes him, and he is in that starting 11 this weekend. Remains to be seen whether Raul Jimenez also gets a nod following his late return from international duty. He got back on Thursday afternoon, but he did train on Friday. Bruno Lage said he won't take any unnecessary risks with him. Long-term absentees, Pedro Neto, Johnny Castro Otto, they're all out until the new year. Wow. So that's it. I think we've got well over 110 player absences listed there. Good luck for game week 12. We will see you all again, as those injuries keep on cropping up. If you're not subscribed, please click that button. As soon as we drop a new video, you will be notified.